If I could only think of how to cut you away, I wouldn't be so frightened or scared to be enlightened. It's kind of difficult to keep my mind on a day that I didn't really mind it. It's in my face, I'll find it. The fields of colors bleeding and it's so far from home. The thoughts keep coming forward, I wish I wasn't so bored. Does it really matter if I'm dying alone? I often try to fake it, what's in my face I'll take it. I'm trying not to break it, the timing it was so right. The heaviness is so light, no more or less is coming. Your substance stand for something, you keep speaking easy, you really do believe me. Please tell me where you're going. I hope my fear is showing, 'cause I'll never ever see you again. If I could have the heart to take a knife to my skin, I'd carve your name for comfort, a feeling there of some sort. It's been a small eternity tormenting within, so hard to keep it inside. My mouth waits for the surprise, staring out my window at a bird on the line. I wish I could get cable, I wish that I
am the devil. I am the Lord Satan from the netherworld, ruler of the damned and eternal king of hell. Even I, the master of deceit, can only stomach so much bullshit from the mainstream media and indie grifters. That's why I tune in to Morning Extra with Uncle Warren, because he eliminates my competition, and also because I know I'm gonna see that motherfucker soon.
Deo, Deo.
Baby's got a burger and a sugar and that shake it all go down. Baby's got a burger and a sugar and that shake it all go down. Corrosion to her thighs, erosion of her pride. Baby's got sugar, baby's got corrosion now, corrosion now. Baby's got it.
Good morning, everybody. This is me, and you're you, and everyone else is they. That's your pronoun update for today, sponsored by the letter Q. Sorry, I'm getting a little, it's really hard to get comfortable once the show starts. You know, once I'm doing the shit, it seems like it's all right. You guys hear me out there okay? You hear this guy? Oh, no. He never leaves. He's always here. All right. If you didn't hear that, I think the neighbors heard that. We got Erotus on Rockfin saying, "Hey, you can take off the girl's clothes and see her naked. I recommend trying it out." Well, you know, if you like girls, sure, I recommend trying that out too. But yeah, that's one of our little porn bots there on the Rockfin. We got Choosy there with his novel in the chat there. Everybody's saying like, well, yeah, Choosy broke the chat because his name's too long. Like, come on, hey, how many posts does this guy put on here? You know his name's gonna be long too. He is the John Holmes of chat posters. So it's what is it? He's working. You love naked ladies? They're prop. Oh, there. That's a hot take. Wow, man. How dare you? Good to see you, brother. We got Chuck in the house flying overhead, watching your every move. We got Global Solidarity in the house too. Willie Bragg. He's listening from the Spectrum office. Ed's here too. Willie's been trying to. I've been trying to help him with his internet situation. So hopefully, we'll get that settled for him today because we're looking forward to seeing Bragland and of course the Willie Bragg show. You be straight simping these days. Yeah, there you go. Simping for them naked ladies. I don't blame you. Yeah, so, and I'm sure some more people will file in soon enough, maybe, who knows. This is probably the, yeah, Choosy does have the best novels around, Jesus. If he actually wrote a book, that it would make War and Peace look like a pamphlet. I swear to God, it would be huge. This is the only YouTube morning show, I believe, that has over 20 stories available for your consumption, and today is no different. We're going to do a deep dive into the whole beeper explosions yesterday and provide you a little information you may not have known about as well. Also, friendly reminder, our buddy Chanda Masta is dealing with lung cancer, and she has a GoFundMe up. So any little bit that you can help her out, we appreciate it there. The link is in the description down below. I believe she's trying to raise $30,000, which is kind of a low end, really, for what the cost of healthcare is today. So, and we wish her all the success. I think she's going in for a procedure this morning. So we're sending positive vibes out to you, Chanda. Hopefully everything goes well. Yeah, so like I said, the description or the link is in the description below. So yeah, let's get into it. I'm sure you guys heard about what happened yesterday in Lebanon. Horrible situation over there. It says 9 killed, but I think it's up to 11 and close to 4,000 wounded across Lebanon as Hezbollah pagers explode. Right. So, like we said, this is according to the health minister in Lebanon. Faraz Abayad said that an 8-year-old girl was among those killed and that more than 200 people, I think it's close to 400 now, are in critical condition after the communication devices exploded yesterday, with injuries mostly reported to the face, hands, and stomach. Lebanon's Hezbollah blamed Israel for the spree of pager blasts, saying it will get its fair punishment, according to a statement released by the Iran-backed group, which has been exchanging almost daily cross-border fire with Israel for almost a year. There's no comment on the blast from the Israeli military, but we got a little information on that coming up in just a minute. Hezbollah said in an earlier statement that 2 of its fighters and a girl were killed as pagers belonging to employees of various Hezbollah units and institutions exploded. A Hezbollah official speaking on the condition of anonymity said the explosion of the pagers was the biggest security breach the group has experienced since October 7th, when Israel's war on Gaza began following the Hamas-led attacks on Israel. So this from Reuters. Israel planted explosives in Hezbollah's Taiwan-made pagers. And a little update on the Taiwan part there in just a second, too. Yeah, and these weren't Hezbollah fighters. These were just normal people just shopping in a market, and then boom, this guy's bag blew up. Israel's Mossad spy agency planted a small amount of explosives inside 5,000 pagers ordered by Lebanese group Hezbollah months before Tuesday's detonations, a senior Lebanese security source and another source told Reuters. The details shed light on an unprecedented Hezbollah security breach that saw thousands of pagers detonate across Lebanon, killing 9 people and wounding nearly 3,000 others, including the group's fighters and Iran's envoy to Beirut. I think there was some injuries in Syria, too. Iran-backed Hezbollah has vowed to retaliate. The plot appears to have been many months in the making. The senior Lebanese security source said the group had ordered 5,000 beepers made by Taiwan-based Gold Apollo, but that's not where they actually came from. The Gold Apollo, yes, but we'll explain that in a moment, which several sources say were brought into the country in the spring. The senior Lebanese security source identified a photograph of the model of the pager, an AP924, which, like other pagers, wirelessly receive and display text messages but cannot make telephone calls. Yeah, the old school hooker beepers, as we like to call them here in the States. That's the ladies of the evening would use the beepers. You would call the beeper, and then they would call you back. How do I know this? None of your fucking business. I'm just kidding. I did call hookers back in the day when I lived in LA. They were very nice ladies. Hezbollah has been using pagers as a low-tech means of communication in an attempt to evade Israeli location tracking. 2 sources familiar with the group's operation told Reuters. But the senior Lebanese source said the devices had been modified by Israel's spy service at the production level. The Mossad injected a board inside of the device that has explosive material that receives a code. It's very hard to detect it through any means, even with any device or scanner, the source said. They said 3,000 of the pagers exploded when a coded message was sent to them, simultaneously activating the explosives. Another security source told Reuters that up to 3 grams of explosives were hidden in the new pagers and had gone undetected by Hezbollah for months. Neither Israel nor Gold Apollo immediately responded to Reuters' request for comments. Gee, I wonder why. Images of destroyed pagers analyzed by Reuters showed a format and stickers on the back that were consistent with pagers made by Gold Apollo, based in Taipei, Taiwan. Hezbollah was reeling from the attack, which left fighters and others bloodied, hospitalized, or dead. One Hezbollah official, speaking again on a condition of anonymity, said it was the biggest security breach. This would easily be the biggest counterintelligence failure that Hezbollah has had in decades, said Jonathan Panikoff, the U.S. government's former Deputy National Intelligence Officer for the Middle East. So this from the cradle, it's a little bit more that goes into detail about what happened. Israel's terror attack against Lebanon yesterday was executed prematurely after Tel Aviv received intelligence that Hezbollah members had discovered their pagers were tampered with, according to a report by Al Monitor. I think that's Al Monitor. I don't think it's AI Monitor. The outlet reported today that 2 members of Hezbollah found out the pagers used in the attack had been infiltrated and that Israel decided to go ahead with it early once it received intelligence about the discovery. Al Monitor cited sources as saying that thousands of pagers were rigged with explosives, as we said, before being delivered to Hezbollah. It added that the plan was to detonate the pagers in the event of an all-out war between Hezbollah and the Israeli army. The Israeli terror attack was kept secret even from Washington. Wink, wink, wink. Yeah, the report adds. Axios has also reported that the attack was launched prematurely because Israel feared Hezbollah had caught on to the plan. It was a use it or lose it moment, a U.S. official said. Israeli intelligence services plan to use the booby-trapped pagers it managed to plant in Hezbollah's ranks as a surprise opening blow in an all-out war to try to cripple Hezbollah, Axios cites an informed Israeli official is saying. The Israeli Defense Establishment decided to carry out the terror attack now rather than further risk being discovered, the report goes on to say. On Tuesday afternoon local time, several minutes before the pagers started exploding across Lebanon, Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant called U.S. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin and told him Israel was about to conduct an operation in Lebanon soon, but refused to give any specific details, right? What do they call that? I can't remember what the phrase is called, but when you're given very little information, plausible deniability, that's what it is. Even though everybody knows the United States lies just as much as Israel. Sky News Arabia cited exclusive sources as saying yesterday that Israel's Mossad managed to intercept the communication devices before they were delivered to the group, adding that the Israeli agents rigged a quantity of the highly explosive material, pentaerythritol tetranitrate, PETN, in the device's batteries, which were detonated by increasing the battery's temperature. Interesting. Rigged a quantity of highly explosive material, which were detonated by increasing the battery's temperature. And you're like, well, how's that? How did they do that? We'll talk about that in a second as well. A senior Lebanese security source was cited by Reuters as saying that Israel's Mossad planted the explosives inside 5,000 pagers before they arrived in Lebanon. Taiwanese company Gold Apollo said that the radios that simultaneously exploded in Lebanon were made by its Hungarian partner. Yes, so, and that, yes, made in Hungary, Taiwan's Gold Apollo. Gold Apollo says the pagers used in the Israeli deadly terrorist attack yesterday had been made by a Hungarian firm to which the company had authorized its brand on the devices. The company made the remarks in a statement yesterday identifying the firm as BAC Consulting KFT, based in the Hungarian capital of Budapest. According to the cooperation agreement, we authorized BAC to use our brand trademark for product sales in designated regions, but the design and manufacturing of the products are solely the responsible of BAC, the statement read. The company also took down an advertisement specifying the pager's features from its website after the attack. the Ministry of Economic Affairs for the self-ruled island, that would be Taiwan, likewise tried to distance the company from the attack. I believe they were, I think they originally said they were Motorola pagers. And then they, and then the stocks for Motorola just went after that. We got Rick in the house. What's up, buddy? And Dee's here too. Around the World, Dee and friends. Good to see you, lady. It said the company had exported 260,000 of the pagers, mainly to European and American countries from early 2022 until August this year, and claimed that it had no records of direct exports of the devices to Lebanon. A day earlier, explosives planted in the AR-924 pagers went off across various locations throughout Lebanon, and killing at least 12 people and wounding nearly 3,000 others. According to Lebanon's health minister, many of the wounded have received severe injuries to the eyes, and others had limbs amputated. The Lebanese government and the country's Hezbollah resistance movement have held the Israeli regime squarely responsible for the deadly aggression, with the latter warning the regime about severe reckoning for the atrocity. The regime has declined to comment on the attack. So, and of course the U.S. is like, who, us? We didn't know nothing. They just called us and said some shit was going to happen, you know? And we was like, okay, whatever, boo. This from Dave DeCamp over at antiwar.com. Be sure you're checking out antiwar.com for all the straight poop, no bias, and plenty of sources to go by. So that's what you want. Plenty of sources, folks. So the U.S. insists it was unaware of Israel's plans to blow up pagers in Lebanon. U.S. claimed yesterday that it was unaware of Israel's plans to blow up thousands of pagers inside Lebanon. State Department spokesman and Sesame Street Muppet Matt Miller insisted the U.S. was not aware of this operation and was not involved. Wink, 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 wink. He said the U.S. was still gathering information about the coordinated attack, right? This is what they said about Ukraine going into Kursk. They said, oh, we didn't know anything about that. We know. It turns out, yeah, you fucking knew about it. Later yesterday, U.S. officials who were briefed on the operation confirmed in the New York Times that Israel was behind the attack. They said Israel planted explosives in pagers that Hezbollah ordered from a company based in Taiwan, and, we went over that. The pager attack also came after the U.S. reportedly warned Israel against launching a wider war in Lebanon, but the U.S. has also pledged to support Israel if the situation escalates into a full-blown war, and provided intelligence support when Israel and Hezbollah traded heavy fire in August. And then this is already stuff you already know. So Iran and Russia, too, condemn Israel's terror attack in Lebanon, and they're offering assistance to the victims. Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi, why do they make these names so hard? That's why nobody wants to go to Iran, because they can't pronounce anybody's names. Has strongly condemned the terrorist attack by the Israeli regime. In a phone call with his Lebanese counterpart, Abdallah Rashid Buhabib, Araghchi denounced the targeting of Lebanese citizens. And that was the thing. A lot of these people were just regular citizens, like we told you before. By Israel following the simultaneous explosion of thousands of wireless communications devices. The top diplomat expressed his condolences and solidarity with the Lebanese government, people, and the families of the victims and the injured. He also said that Iran was ready to provide any necessary assistance for the treatment of the injured or their transfer to Tehran for medical care. He inquired about the condition of Iranian ambassador Motabi Amani, who was among the 2,800 plus people injured in the mass explosions, and thanked Lebanon for providing immediate medical treatment to the ambassador. Additionally, the foreign minister spoke on the phone with Amani's wife and inquired about his condition. He again offered to facilitate the immediate transfer of the ambassador and other injured individuals to Iran if needed. The ambassador's wife thanked the foreign minister for his concern and assured him that Amani is in good condition. Meanwhile, Iranian Health Minister Mohammad Reza Zafargandi spoke with his Lebanese counterpart after the pager explosions, reiterating Iran's readiness to send medical aid to Lebanon. Yeah, so pretty sure you're going to see a reckoning coming for sure when it comes to this kind of thing, and it's just going to get worse. I'm pretty sure you're just going to see all-out war going on over there. Good morning, Game.Film. What's up, buddy? And we got Bella in the house, too. Good to see all y'all. Hopefully you're having a good hump day. I used to work as an IT guy, and what I would do is, when I lived in New York, I would go to downtown corporate buildings, and I would repair PCs and laptops. And a lot of times in my laptop repairs, I would see giant bulging batteries, right, where the case of the computer was popped open because the battery was swole up, and there was a possibility that those things could explode. Now this wasn't the case here. These were actual explosives put into the devices, but there was initially there was a thought that maybe malware had juiced up the operating system enough to where it would make the battery hotter and hotter and hotter, and then it would explode. And they said, well, that's kind of I don't know if that actually happens. Well, it does happen, actually. And this is from a few years ago. This is from last year. I used to work at a bike rental place. People come in, tourists and stuff like that. And we had regular bikes and we had electric bikes too. And this really had caught us off guard. So there was a fire that killed 4 at a New York City e-bike store. And it was caused by lithium-ion batteries blowing up, right? So the early morning fire at an e-bike store in Lower Manhattan that left 4 dead was caused by those batteries. It's very clear that this was caused by the batteries and e-bikes. There's a very large number of both batteries and e-bikes. This location is known to the fire department. We have written violations at this location before, and we have conducted enforcement in this location. Commissioner Laura Kavanaugh said, Kavanaugh called lithium-ion batteries incredibly deadly because so much fire is created when they ignite. It can often be too late as soon as the fire has begun, she said. And what had happened was that they had left these bikes plugged in overnight to charge up, right? And what happens is, you don't want, this is a little pro tip, try not to charge your battery all the way up to 100% if you can avoid it, right? Because if you overcharge your battery, it can fuck with the inner mechanisms inside the battery and cause it to heat up, right? And so you want to be very careful about that. This is actually from India Today. This is why do phone batteries explode and how to prevent such incidents, right? So there was a they cite an example that is coming from a Xiaomi 11 Lite NE phone exploded in Bihar recently. I guess all this is in India. While it was placed on a bed, the report states that the phone belonged to Sanjeev Raja, a resident of that place, who shared videos and images of his damaged phone, whatever. In most past incidents, smartphones exploded when they were connected to the charger, but that wasn't the case this time. Raja claimed that the phone exploded even when it was not connected to the charger. The good thing is that no one was harmed, as the phone was away from the owner and the members of his family when it exploded. Raja claimed that his phone, which he purchased in December 2021, started emitting smoke suddenly while it was placed on his bed. As per the report, the impact of the blast was so severe that at least 2 to 3 layers of the mattress were burnt, and the back cover of the phone was glued to the bed sheet due to the fire. Xiaomi was quick at investigating the matter and classified the explosion under customer-induced damage, right? I note that customer-induced damage because it's with Android and iPhones, there's a back door that the government can use in order to infiltrate your phone. You've heard of these Chinese phones, the Huawei, Huawii, I think is what this is, or EI. They don't have those back doors. And at the same time, they're also illegal to purchase in the United States. Why? Because the government can't get in your shit. And what could possibly happen, and I'm not trying to scare people, but you should be just aware of this shit, that if they're able to penetrate the back door, giggity, they could plant malware that just makes your system constantly run and run and run and run and run until it heats up the battery enough to, kablooey. So like I say, I'm not trying to cause fear or anything like that. I just want you to be aware of that. That is a possibility, no matter how slight it is. So, horrible situation over there. Hezbollah caught off guard, but when you go after civilians like that too, like they do in Gaza, civilians in Gaza are Hamas, and civilians in Hezbollah are Hezbollah, in Lebanon are Hezbollah. So how long this is going to go on, I'm not quite sure. Rick says, aside from the pagers that were loaded with explosives, these new phones with lithium batteries, the heat waves we get now, expect more phones and electronics blowing up. What's up, John? Good to see you, brother. Yeah, exactly. Right. Heat is a villain to computers in general, and specifically to the batteries. So don't leave your phone out in the sun. Try to keep it in a cool place as often as you can. And, and try to stay off of it, for one of several reasons, but mostly so your battery doesn't cook up like that. So, meanwhile, Israel is starving the people in Gaza. Israel blocks over 80% of food aid from entering Gaza. Israel is preventing up to 83% of food aid from entering the Gaza Strip nearly 1 year into its genocidal war against the Palestinians in the besieged enclave, according to a press release issued on Monday by 15 humanitarian aid organizations. 83% of required food aid does not make it into Gaza, up from 34% in 2023. This reduction means people in Gaza have gone from having an average of 2 meals a day to just 1 meal every other day, the press release states, adding that an estimated 50,000 children ages 6 to 59 months urgently require treatment for malnutrition by the end of the year. The statement also reveals that in last month, a record low average of 69 aid trucks per day entered Gaza compared to 500 per working day at the same time last year, a figure that was still too low to meet people's needs before Israel's genocide of the Palestinians started. In August, more than 1 million people did not receive any food rations in southern and central Gaza, the press release highlights. The organizations also detailed the dire health care and homelessness crisis sweeping across the Strip, revealing that only 17 out of 36 hospitals remain partially functional, with only around 1,500 hospital beds available for millions of Palestinians, while stressing that 1.87 million people require shelter. There's a shortage of all humanitarian items. We are overwhelmed with these needs and these urgent requirements. People are starving due to the shortage of aid. 100% of the population depend on humanitarian aid. It's the worst situation that we witnessed during the Israel war in Gaza. Amjad al-Shawa, the director of the Palestinian NGOs network, told the international organizations. Save the Children, Oxfam, Danish Refugee Council, Norwegian Refugee Council, Kinder USA, and Islamic Relief are among the organizations that co-signed the release. We bring in aid because there is no choice. We can't, in the current global reality, manage a war. Nobody will let us cause 2 million civilians to die of hunger, even though it might be justified and immoral, and moral until our hostages are returned. Yeah, the hostages. They keep blaming the fucking hostages. That's Israeli Finance Minister Beelzebub Smotrich said last month. As Palestinians in Gaza continue to die due to hunger, disease, and indiscriminate Israeli airstrikes, the UN revealed Monday that 55 forced evacuation orders remain in effect in the besieged enclave, covering more than 85% of its territories. So yeah, if they're not blowing up pagers in Lebanon, they're starving people in Gaza, and of course that is by design because they want to get rid of them. Back here at home, a major divestment win. Students say MIT has cut ties with Lockheed Martin. Yeah, so the MIT Coalition for Palestine has announced victory in pressuring the university to cut ties with the MIT Lockheed Martin Seed Fund, which finances collaborations between MIT and universities in Israel. The development was a major divestment win for the Scientists Against Genocide, SAGE, movement here at MIT. The Misty Israel Lockheed Martin Fund has been shut down after sustained pressure, the coalition said in a statement last Friday. This is the first known American-Israeli weapons manufacturer partnership to end at an American university since the war on Gaza began, it added. According to the statement, the Lockheed Martin Seed Fund has, since 2019, been a program administered by the MIT International Science and Technology Initiative Israel, or MISTI Israel, to connect students and researchers on this campus to the Israeli offices of Lockheed Martin, a global arms manufacturer. Well, not with MIT labor anymore, under pressure from students and scientists of conscience at this institute, the MIT administration has discontinued Misty Israel's Lockheed Martin Seed Fund and will not renew its contract, the coalition stated. We have recently reviewed official confirmation of this. It pointed out, adding that the Lockheed Martin Fund was removed from their website between December 23rd and February 2024. So, protests work, folks. And they do have consequences, and this is one of the consequences of that. Meanwhile, Morocco is they have some giant balls. They have they have giant balls because they're doing something actually really good. Morocco court to hold trial against Israeli soldier for war crimes in Gaza. This is from the New Arab, not the old Arab. This is the New Arab. And then burning a Israeli flag there. In Morocco, a court is preparing to try an Israeli soldier who was detained while on holiday to Marrakesh. I wonder if he took the Marrakesh Express. You take the Marrakesh Express. Over committing war crimes in Gaza amid wide protests and a high-profile national lawsuit. On Friday, September 13th, a group of Moroccan lawyers finally succeeded in convincing a court in Rabat to review a lawsuit against Israeli soldier Moshe Abishur, who arrived in July in Marrakesh. The Marrakesh Express. The Court of Appeal in Rabat agreed to review the lawsuit after some effort, classifying it under terrorism-related crimes, said Moroccan lawyer Najia El Hajaji, one of 7 lawyers behind the lawsuit. El Hajaji explained that the Attorney General in Marrakesh initially refused to accept their complaint before it was forwarded to the capital's court. Who is this motherfucker? That's not what I'm just paraphrasing what that says. Avishzer is the soldier in question. He participated in Israel's genocidal war on Gaza for 3 months before arriving in Morocco in July to enjoy a holiday in Marrakesh. The soldier presents himself as an artist by performing on his instrument at tourist sites in Marrakesh, said Jamal Bahar, a member of the Moroccan Front Against Normalization, or MFAN. So far, this is the information provided by the Moroccan, or MFAN, a local organization calling for his arrest and trial for war crimes. The Israeli soldier, reportedly still in Marrakesh, had shared posts from his Moroccan holiday on Instagram a few days after posting photos of himself in military gear with the rubble of Palestinian houses in Gaza. That was his other holiday, is murdering people in Gaza. He has since deleted these images and made his account private following the brouhaha his presence has caused in the North African kingdom. You rarely see a news story with the word brouhaha in it, but here we are. At the end of July, hundreds protested in front of the Koutoubia, a major tourist landmark in Marrakesh, waving kafirs and Palestinian flags. The protesters demanded that the Israeli soldier be tried as a war criminal and called for the revocation of the normalization agreement with Israel. Since last October, thousands of Moroccans have held weekly protests against the normalization deal Rabat signed with Tel Aviv in late 2020. Can Morocco legally try this piece of shit? The lawsuit argues that the Israeli soldier participated in the Gaza war for 3 months, committing atrocities, including genocide and ethnic cleansing, which he boasted about in a video showing the killing, burning, and torture of Palestinians. I don't know, it sounds like war crimes to me, kids. These actions are considered terrorist under both international and Moroccan law, added the lawsuit. The complaint requests his arrest and trial, citing 3 key legal provisions. Article 1-711, that's unfortunate, of the Moroccan Code of Criminal Procedure, which permits the prosecution of any Moroccan or foreigner for terrorist crimes committed outside Morocco if they are found within the country. Article 1-218 of the anti-terrorism law, which covers crimes including deliberate assault on individuals' lives, safeties, or freedoms. And Article 1-1-218 also includes joining or attempting to join terrorist groups regardless of their form or location. The lawsuit also includes 9 images from his social media and a report from the Moroccan Observatory for Anti-Normalization, MOAN. Oh, no, that's not good. Regarding his visit to Marrakesh and the public reaction it generated. Whether the request is met or not is something we will leave to time, said Abel Samad Taraji, one of 7 lawyers behind the lawsuit. As activists and lawyers, we have taken responsibility, and we hope that other lawyers will support us. Over social media, pro-Palestine activists have widely shared the lawsuit to garner support and signatures from other lawyers and activists. If the court decided to go forward with the trial, it would be the first trial of war crimes against an Israeli soldier in North Africa. It should be noted that there is no public extradition agreement between Israel and Morocco. The two countries signed a normalization deal in 2020 in exchange for U.S. recognition of Rabat's sovereignty over Western Sahara. While initially promoted as a pragmatic move to secure the disputed territory for Rabat, the deal has instead led to increased military and trade relations and frequent visits by Israeli officials to Morocco, at least until October 7th of last year. When the Gaza war erupted, the Israeli office in Rabat closed and officials left the country. However, Moroccan diplomacy has confirmed ongoing normalization with Tel Aviv, but has not commented on the alleged reopening of the Israeli office in Rabat, which is reportedly taking place this month. So, you can run, but you can't hide, at least not in Morocco or Marrakesh. So, staying in Africa, we're talking about the Houthis and the Blowfish, which will be playing with special guest Crocus at a local arena near you. So the U.S. tried to make a deal with the Houthis, and the Houthis said, I don't know how you say it in Yemeni, but you go fuck yourself, basically is what they said. U.S. offered to recognize Ansar Allah Authority if it supports OpStop. So, they're getting the U.S. and a lot of these ships are getting their ass kicked by the Houthis because they keep sinking their ships. And the Navy's like, me not know what to do. Very powerful group, these Houthis are. The U.S. offered to recognize the Yemeni Ansar Allah movement's legitimate authority over the entire country of Yemen if they cease their attacks in support of Palestinians in Gaza. Hezam al-Assad, a member of Ansar Allah's political bureau, told Sputnik, adding that the movement refused the offer. TBNT. Thanks, but no thanks. Since the Yemeni leadership in Sana'a announced its participation in supporting our people in the Gaza Strip, the U.S. administration has been carrying out political, military, and economic blackmail against the government of Sana'a, trying to use intimidation to dissuade the Yemeni people from this path, al-Assad said. Al-Assad emphasized that Ansar Allah refused this offer, denouncing U.S. intervention in Yemen's national and political affairs. The United States also has no right to put pressure on us to stop supporting the Palestinian people in the Gaza Strip who are being subjected to genocide by the Israeli occupying forces with U.S. and Western support and participation, he added. So they played deal or no deal, and the Houthis said, no deal, motherfuckers. Good for them. I think the U.S. is starting to get desperate now because they're not winning. Israel's not winning this war, and the U.S. knows that they can't get directly involved yet. And while they're doing this fringe shit, they're getting their ass handed to them in the water. And of course, we reported the other day the Houthis have a long range missile now. So you add that to the mix, somebody fucked. So, but Iran, being the bigger person in the room, apparently said, you know what, we could talk to the U.S., but you got to behave yourselves, right? So again, from Dave DeCamp at antiwar.com, Iranian president says direct talks with U.S. are possible if U.S. shows it's not hostile. They'd have to put on like a mask or something like Scooby-Doo, and let's say, look, I'm non-hostile. And they take off the mask. Oh, shit, I'm hostile. Well, we're always hostile. Are we the baddies? Yes, we're the baddies. Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian said Monday that direct talks with the U.S. would be possible if Washington showed that it was not hostile towards Tehran. He says, we're not hostile towards the U.S. They should end their hostility towards us by showing their goodwill in practice, Pezeshkian said at a press conference. We are brothers with the Americans as well. Pezeshkian made the comments when asked if he would consider direct talks with the U.S. to revive the 2015 nuclear deal known as the JCPOA, which the Trump administration fucked up in 2018. The Iranian leader also reiterated Iran's stance in that it's not seeking nuclear weapons. He said Iran is only enriching uranium at 60% purity, which is still below the 90% needed for weapons grade, in response to the U.S. tearing up the JCPOA, which limited Iranian enrichment to 3.67%. I think we said many times we don't want to do this at all. We want to solve our technical and scientific needs. We're not looking for nuclear weapons, Pezeshkian said. We adhered to the framework written in the nuclear deal. We are still looking to maintain those frameworks. They tore them. They forced us to do something. Iran increased uranium enrichment to 60% in 2021 following an Israeli sabotage attack on Iran's Natanz nuclear facility, which was timed to sabotage indirect negotiations between Washington and Tehran. I think that was they had hacked that nuclear facility, got into their computer system. Crazy. Pezeshkian, who took office in July, pledged during his campaign that he would negotiate with the U.S. and other Western countries to work towards sanctions relief. Iranian Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei appeared to give him the green light to pursue talks, saying last month that there was no harm in engaging with the enemy. While Pezeshkian is willing to talk, it's unlikely he will have a willing partner in the U.S., at least anytime soon. The Biden administration isn't expected to make any changes before the November election and continues to increase sanctions on Iran. The previous Trump administration took a hard line towards the Islamic Republic, and former President Trump and his vice president pick and human potato J.D. Vance have made hawkish comments on Iran while on the campaign trail. I'm amazed they haven't accused Iran of eating dogs and cats, to be honest with you. I think that's where we're at this point. My dad told me not to go into those really cheap, dirty, nasty, sleazy strip clubs because if you do, you'll see something you shouldn't. So, of course, I went and I saw my dad. But thank you for that, Bella. That's good. That's good. That's good stuff. Yeah. So, when you don't watch mainstream media and you actually read the press outside of the United States, I'm not saying all of it is just 100% truth and none of it's propaganda. Like I said, you be skeptical of all your sources of information, for sure. But it seems like these are more honest actors than what we're getting from inside the United States. So apparently the U.S. is getting the fuck out of Niger, which is nice. That's good for the Nigerians. U.S. completes full military withdrawal from Niger. The U.S. military announced that its troops have completed the full withdrawal from the country after the African country demanded that its troops depart. So get the fuck out, please. The two countries announced that the withdrawal of U.S. forces and assets from Niger is complete. Africa Command said in a statement, I believe this was on Monday, the safe, orderly, and responsible withdrawal was completed without complications by the mutually decided date of December 15th, 2024, AFRICOM said. I bless the rains down to AFRICOM. I bless the rains. In April, the ruling authorities in Niger ordered the U.S. to withdraw its nearly 1,000 military personnel from the country following a coup last year in the West African nation. The U.S. withdrawal was carried out in phases, with forces and assets withdrawing from Air Base 101 in Niamey, not to be confused with Miami, on July 7th, and Air Base 201 in Agadez on August 5th, according to a Reuters report. The U.S. said the U.S. Africa Command, AFRICOM, boom, 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 the wild dogs cry out in the night. Okay. Consisting of a 2-star general and staff also departed from Niger, and that the withdrawal was completed by a September 15th deadline. So Niger said, hit the road, Jack, and don't you come back no more, no more, no more, no more. Sorry, I had to get the Toto reference in there. We've been talking about weather craziness all over the world, going on, not just here in the United States, but over in Asia. And Typhoon Yagi that tore up Vietnam, now has fucked up Myanmar. So 113 killed, 320,000 displaced after Yagi strikes Myanmar. So, and you see the car here and the animals, and then there's water everywhere. At least 113 people have been killed in Myanmar, the military government reported, following heavy rainfall caused by Typhoon Yagi, which had earlier struck Vietnam and Thailand. And in Thailand, you neither win nor lose, because it's approximately 320,000 people have been displaced, and 64 were reported missing, government spokesman Zaw Min Toon stated, according to a state-run MRTV. The government is conducting a rescue and rehabilitation mission, he said. The flooding began last Monday, resulting in at least 74 people killed by Friday, according to state media reports. Marked as Asia's strongest storm in 30 years. That seems to be a theme. The strongest storm in 30, 40, 50 years is just happening everywhere. Yagi has destroyed 5 dams, 4 pagodas, and more than 65,000 houses from its flooding in Myanmar. Central Myanmar is currently the hardest hit, with numerous rivers and creeks flowing down from Shan Hills. The United Nations Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, OCHA, said the agency highlighted that Yagi's heavy rain mainly affected Myanmar's capital city, Naypyidaw, including the Mandalay, Magway, and Baga regions, as well as the eastern and southern Shan, Mon, Kaya, and Kayan states. So, yeah, we think that the storms that hit here are bad, but you use a lot of these places like Myanmar and that don't have the as sophisticated an infrastructure. Not that our infrastructure is any good, but especially with these dams bursting like that, that's just. I would say it's adding fuel to the fire, but it's adding water to the flood. But you get the gist. Meanwhile, in Brussels, they're protesting the layoffs that's going on over there. This is from Common Dreams. Ed Carver, dude, gotta fix that hair, man. Seriously, good writing, but you gotta fix that hair. Thousands of auto workers protest in Brussels amid likely Audi layoffs. Thousands of auto workers protested Monday following recent news that Audi, a subsidiary of the German automaker Volkswagen, would phase out production at its plant there, which is expected to mean layoffs for its roughly 3,000 employees by the end of 2025. The phase-out announcement led to a labor dispute that's shuttered the plant for the last 2 weeks, with some employees forming an encampment protest outside. The plant is expected to resume operations, or was expected to resume operations yesterday, even though the core issues underlying the labor dispute, which some unions have characterized as a lockout by the management, haven't been resolved. Between 5,500 and 11,000 demonstrators marched towards the European Parliament on Monday, bringing chaos to Brussels. Not since Jean-Claude Van Damme, the muscles from Brussels, caused chaos. Where public transport was largely shut down, unions not directly affected by the Audi plant's likely closure participated in solidarity. Their anger is very legitimate, very understandable, especially since Audi is not very clear on its plans, Bernard Clerfait, a local employment minister, told AFP. Charlie Lepage of Belgium's Workers' Party, Parti du Travail de Belgique, wrote on social media that there were lots and lots of people in the streets of Brussels in support of Audi workers and subcontractors. Lepage said that the company was treating employees as disposable while distributing huge amounts of money to shareholders, and declared that workers are not adjustment variables. Very nice. State-of-the-art Audi plant in southern Brussels produces the Q8 e-tron, an electric sport utility vehicle, SUV. Audi received about 27 million euros, about 30 million American, in public funding to retrain workers when it converted to electric vehicle production. Audi announced in July that it was considering discontinuing production of the commercially unsuccessful Q8 e-tron and closing the Brussels plant, and said earlier this month that it still hadn't found an alternative vehicle that it could produce there. The following day, September 4th, the plant's workers downed tools and set up protest camps on the premises, according to World Socialist website. October 6th, United Auto Workers President Sean Fain, a leading U.S. unionist, visited the plant in solidarity with the workers there. About 1,500 Audi workers at the plant face the prospect of layoffs as early as next month, another 1,100 by May, and the remainder by the end of 2025. There are also many hundreds of subcontractor workers that would be impacted by a closure, unions have said. Last week, workers took about 200 car keys from vehicles at the plant as an act of protest, prompting warnings of legal action by the company. The workers later returned the keys to try to facilitate discussions with the management. Well, maybe they were drinking, right? Maybe the people they were negotiating were drinking, so they took their car keys. The plant's likely closure is seen as part of EV failures at Volkswagen and European car makers more generally, prompting calls for the European Union to invest in and protect the industry. Audi reportedly plans to make the successor to the Q8 e-tron in Mexico, of course. So... I always like to show off these stories about people especially workers trying to, do something for themselves, right? They're not trying to vote their way out of this bullshit. They're like, look, man, they're taking car keys and basically just saying, you know what, we're not going to take this. And protests work. I mean, you have to be consistent with it and you have to be patient, but they do work, So anybody saying that it doesn't, it's like, oh, we got to vote our way out. Okay, good luck with that. Rick, this was more of a story for you and down in your neck of the woods. I guess Game.film too. He's down there too. This happened the other day. Liquid natural gas pipeline explosion and fire force evacuations in Texas town. Look at that shit, man. It looks like hell farted. Fire damage to a playground and evacuation order for at least 350 homes. And another potential evacuation of an assisted living facility were among the hazards suffered by residents in LaPorte, Texas on Monday. Is that LaPorte? I'm not local, so I'm not quite sure. After a fire erupted from an explosion at a pipeline in the Houston area town. Officials in nearby Deer Park confirmed the pipeline was owned by Energy Transfer, the company with a majority stake in the Dakota Access Pipeline, which has sued Greenpeace for protests over the fossil fuel project. Local NBC affiliate KPRC TV said the chemical burning was chemical Y-grade liquid natural gas, which goes great on salads. KHOU, another local news affiliate, reported that about 4,000 homes were experiencing power outages, and the Southeast Texas Regional Advisory Council said it was working on a potential evacuation of a nursing home. Yeah, look at that thing, man. Just boo. We've seen the flames get bigger and bigger with a huge amount of smoke, said Shiv Srivastava. Or that shrimp. I'm going to do a super cut with past episodes of me just fucking up these names, so I hope you enjoy that in the future. We're going to just call him Shiv. Shiv, organizer and policy researcher with the Houston area advocacy group Fence Line Watch, in a video posted to the social media platform Tweeters. Shiv noted that the site of the fire was close to several schools, including Deer Park Elementary and LaPorte ISD schools as well. You say LaPorte? Okay, good. I'm going to say LaPorte too. Thanks, Rick, for the update there. We're near a community right now, he added in a video, as the blaze was visible in the background. A shelter-in-place order was in effect for LaPorte Public Schools as well as San Jacinto College. A video posted by Chris Walker of Fox 7 Austin appeared to show a neighborhood filled with homes in the immediate vicinity of the flames. Yeah, so here it is right here, and then you got all your neighboring houses around there. All of a sudden we hear this loud bang, and then I see something bright like orange coming from our back door that's outside. A LaPorte resident named Giselle Molina Guerrero told the Associated Press. The public health and climate watchdog Food and Water Watch the incident offers the latest proof of what is already widely known. Fossil fuel infrastructure is dangerous. We cannot keep living like this, said the group. So, I don't think there was any injuries to that, fortunately. But, they'll keep trying. They'll keep trying to hurt people down there. And the National Labor Relations Board is under fire, of course, from Trump lawyers. Those Trump lawyers, they're like, everybody was complaining about, oh, Trump's gonna, he's gonna pack the court with all these people, but the Supreme Court. But then you forget about the federal judges, that all the Democrats were like, yeah, that's fine, go ahead. So this is from Common Dreams. Alarm as Trump judge sides with company claiming NLRB is unconstitutional. The National Labor Relations Board was prevented yesterday from moving forward with an unfair labor practices case against the social services tech company Find Help after a Trump-appointed judge granted the Texas-based firm's request for a temporary injunction. In the Northern District of Texas, U.S. District Judge Mark Pittman ruled in favor of FindHelp's claim that administrative law judges at the NLRB have unconstitutional protections from being dismissed by the White House. The argument has been used by other large companies, including billionaire Elon Musk's aerospace firm SpaceX and a subsidiary of the fossil fuel giant Energy Transfer, which have both also obtained preliminary injunctions from Trump appointees in Texas, shielding them from labor rights cases. In the SpaceX case, the NLRB argued that granting an injunction would encourage any employer or labor union unhappy with scrutiny of their labor practices to seek preliminary injunctions against NLRB proceedings. Starbucks, Amazon, and Trader Joe's, I used to work for Trader Joe's, they used to be a good company until they went to shit, and then people started forming unions there, have also joined the corporate effort to strip the NLRB of its ability to carry out its duties as a federal agency tasked with protecting workers from unfair labor practices. The companies have claimed that the agency's structure, which was established by the New Deal's National Labor Relations Act nearly a century ago, violates the president's removal powers under Article 2 of the U.S. Constitution. Prior to the New Deal, judges claimed things like overtime and child labor rules were unconstitutional, said journalist and airplane co-pilot, autopilot Ryan Grimm. Lawyers for the NLRB argued in the FindHelp case that the company is not entitled to relief from a court until the president tries to remove the administrative law judge assigned to FindHelp's case, but Pittman said he was unpersuaded by the NLRB's arguments. Gee, I wonder why. Pittman cited a precedent established by the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Fifth Circuit, which ruled in 2022 that removal protections for the Securities and Exchange Commission's judges were unconstitutional. This month, two federal judges, one appointed by former President Barack Obama and one by President Joe Biden, former President Barack Obama, he's still the president, have rejected other corporate challenges claiming the NLRB is unconstitutionally structured, teeing up a potential U.S. Supreme Court case to settle the matter in the future. Tuesday's ruling comes 18 months after the Office of Professional Employees International Union filed a complaint with the NLRB saying FindHelp had illegally fired and coerced workers who were involved in organizing their workplace. The employees had voted 95 to 52 in favor of joining the union. With Pittman's injunction in place, the NLRB administrative hearing on whether FindHelp unlawfully fired organizers and surveilled employees will not move forward. Yes. So elections do matter in the fact that whoever gets elected is probably going to install some like really shit judges, and there's an example of that right there. Meanwhile, the Chinese got busted for trying to hack NASA. I don't know why they're trying to hack NASA. They're they're on the moon right now, and we're not. But the U.S. charges an employee of Chinese aerospace giant with hacking NASA and the U.S. military. Song Woo, a Chinese national, is charged in Atlanta, Georgia, with 14 counts of wire fraud and 14 counts of aggravated identity theft. An employee of one of China's most powerful state-owned defense contractors tried to hack NASA, the U.S. military, and other targets, according to an indictment announced on Monday by the U.S. attorney in Atlanta. Song Woo, a Chinese national, attempted to obtain computer software and source code from the space agency, the Air Force, Army, and Navy, and the Federal Aviation Administration, according to a statement from the office of Ryan Buchanan, U.S. attorney for the Northern District of Georgia. Song allegedly tried to hack individuals working at major research universities in Georgia and 5 other states, as well as private sector aerospace companies, according to the statement. The United States is charging him with 14 counts of wire fraud and 14 counts of aggravated identity theft. The statement identified Song as a 39-year-old who worked as an engineer for Aviation Industry Corporation of China, but did not indicate where he is based or if he has been arrested. Maybe they're just keeping an eye on him. Hopefully he doesn't have a pager, because, well, you know what that is. We know what that does. Israel. This is some fun stuff too. Israeli Intellexa spyware entity, 5 individuals under U.S. sanctions. The U.S. Department of the Treasury's Office of Foreign Assets Control, or OFAC, announced sanctions against 5 individuals and 1 entity linked to the Intellexa consortium for their involvement in developing, operating, and distributing commercial spyware technology that presents a significant threat to the national security of the United States, according to a statement released by the department. Acting Undersecretary of the Treasury for Terrorism and Financial Intelligence, gee, that's a long title, Bradley T. Smith, emphasized that the U.S. will not tolerate the reckless propagation of disruptive technologies that threaten our national security and undermines the privacy and civil liberties of our citizens. Yeah, right, like the U.S. isn't doing that shit. Smith also pledged continued accountability for those involved in exploitative technologies and promoting responsible tech development aligned with international standards. The department vowed that the U.S. was committed to countering the exploitation of American sensitive data. That's our job. And digital authoritarianism, and we will use all available tools to counter the misuse of surveillance technology. Despite the department's alleged attempt to contain the spyware industry, it makes no mention of the company's Israeli origin being owned by a former Israeli general. That's a nugget of information you probably want to put in there. I wonder why they left it out. Last year hey, what's up, Miguel? Good to see you, brother. Last year in July, the New York Times reported that Intellexa and other EU-based hacking firm Cytrox, which was also my 80s cartoon superhero name, were sanctioned by the U.S. Commerce Department, the 2 very same firms that were caught in a political scandal in Greece where government officials have been accused of using the spyware to hack journalists and opposition members. Today, the U.S. government added 4 foreign commercial spyware entities to the entity list for engaging in activities contrary to the national security or foreign policy interest of the United States. A statement released by the State Department said that's what he said. So yeah, spyware it's Israel spyware, dude. It's not just spyware; it's Israel spyware. Come on. Probably a couple of weeks ago, we talked to you about how Commander Data from Facebook, what's his name, Mark Zuckerberg, he said that he was coerced into censoring people on the site, and he's going to vow to do better. He's going to give it the old college try and be a better person. Well, cue the womp womp music. Meta bans Russian state media outlets globally across its platforms. I'm sure that had nothing to do with U.S. pressure. Anywho, U.S. tech giant Meta announced on Monday that it's banning Russian state media outlets from its apps globally over allegations of foreign interference activities. Russiagate! Russiagate! The company, which owns Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, and Threads, not to be confused with that horribly frightening British nuclear war movie. And if you haven't seen Threads, this is a little sidebar. If you haven't seen Threads, you should see that. If you want to get the shit scared out of you about nuclear war, that's the movie to watch. It's from the 80s, I think. So the company responded to an AFP inquiry saying, after careful consideration, we expanded our ongoing enforcement against Russian state media outlets. Rossiya Segodnia, RT, and other related entities are now banned from our apps globally for foreign interference activity. I think Sputnik is being banned too. Well, you say, John, if only China didn't have the death penalty for marijuana, I would move. I know, right? It's like Russia doesn't allow weed too. If they legalize pot, you're going to see like half the United States gone, especially if they know they get the diabetes cured over in China. This comes following allegations by the United States at RT and its employees in the country have funneled millions of dollars via shell companies to finance influence campaigns on social media outlets such as TikTok, Instagram, X, and YouTube. According to the indictment unsealed in New York, the news outlet was forced to halt formal operations in the UK, Canada, the European Union, and the US as a result of sanctions imposed following the start of the war with Ukraine in February 2022. Meta, more like mega assholes. What is this doing here? So, if you have teenage kids and they like the IG, the Instagram, I think that's, or they call it the gram. I don't know. Maybe they don't call it that anymore. Looks like they're gonna get they're gonna get some changes made for them too. So Instagram makes teen accounts private as pressure mounts. Instagram is making teen accounts private by default as it tries to make the platform safer for children amid a growing backlash against how social media affects young people's lives. Beginning yesterday in the United States, UK, Canada, and Australia, anyone under 18 who signs up for Instagram will be placed into restrictive teen accounts, and those with existing accounts will be migrated over in the next 60 days. Teens in the European Union will see their accounts adjusted later this year. Meta acknowledged that teenagers may lie about their age and said it will require Meta? I think they mean IG. That said it will require them to verify their ages in more instances, such as if they try to create a new account with an adult birthday. The Menlo Park, California-based company also said it is building technology that proactively finds teens' accounts that pretend to be grown-ups and automatically places them into the restricted teen accounts. Private messages in these accounts are restricted so teens can only receive them from people they follow or are already connected to. Sensitive content such as videos from people fighting or those fighting, I'm pretty sure war footage is probably going to be rolled into that as well. Or those promoting cosmetic procedures will be limited, Meta says. Why do you keep saying Meta? Teens will also get notifications. Oh, well, yeah, Meta owns Instagram. I'm stupid. Don't listen to me. Well, listen to me, but just forget I said that. Meta said teens will also get notifications if they're on Instagram for more than 60 minutes, and a sleep mode will be enabled that turns off notifications and sends auto replies to direct messages from 10 p.m. until 7 a.m. I am so glad I'm not a teenager these days. I look like one, but I'm not one. While these settings will be turned on for all teens, 16 and 17-year-olds will be able to turn them off. Kids under 16 will need their parents' permission to do so. So yeah, so the teens who love the Instagram, they're going to be limited to, I guess, other teens seeing their stuff. Domestic news, y'all. I know we don't really do this very much, but it's caught my attention yesterday. So Ghislaine Maxwell, or Ghislaine, I don't know, I say Ghislaine because I think that was the name of a street on Epstein Island. Tried to appeal, and they said, nope. It's from ABC7 in New York. Appeals court upholds sex crimes conviction of Epstein associate Ghislaine Maxwell. And then there's some commercial there from a 911 executive producer. A federal appeals court in New York yesterday upheld the sex crimes conviction of Ghislaine Maxwell, the longtime associate of the late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Maxwell in March asked the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit to overturn her conviction and 20-year prison sentence. I'm amazed she's only getting 20 years. For recruiting and grooming the underage girls who Epstein sexually abused, arguing she was immunized by an agreement federal prosecutors in Florida arranged with Epstein in 2007. Yesterday, the appeals court ruled that Maxwell was not covered by Epstein's non-prosecution agreement and said the alleged crimes fell within the statute of limitations. Maxwell's attorneys had argued that she was made a proxy for Epstein, who died by suicide in prison while awaiting trial, to satisfy public outrage about his conduct. She was convicted in 2021 after prosecutors said that from 1994 to 2004, she worked together with Epstein to identify girls, groom them, and then transport them to Epstein's properties in New York, Florida, New Mexico, and elsewhere. The girls, some of whom were as young as 14 years old, were then sexually abused, often under the guise of a massage, prosecutors said. Maxwell is currently incarcerated in a low-security prison in Tallahassee and eligible for release in 2037. Yeah, the low-security prison, tennis courts, probably gets foot massages, shit like that. Yeah, she's still alive. I know, right? She didn't suicide herself there, John. I know, surprise, surprise. She's what they call Patsy. Speaking of Epstein and his buddies, they got the diddler. The diddler. Sean Diddy, the diddler Combs, is arrested in New York after federal indictment. So Sean Diddy Combs, the hip-hop mogul who was faced a stream of allegations by women accusing him of sexual assault, was arrested late Monday in New York after he was indicted by a federal grand jury. The indictment was sealed and details of the charges weren't immediately announced by prosecutors, but the U.S. Attorney in Manhattan, Damian Williams, confirmed in a statement that federal agents had Combs in custody. We expect to move to unseal the indictment in the morning, and we'll have more to say at the time, Williams said in a statement. Combs was arrested in a Manhattan hotel lobby, according to a person familiar with the arrest who spoke with the AP on condition of anonymity because they were not authorized to speak publicly. Is anybody authorized to speak publicly? Just say it anyway. His lawyer, Mark Agnafilo, said Combs had been cooperating with the investigation and had relocated to New York last week in anticipation of charges being brought. We are disappointed with the decision to pursue what we believe is an unjust prosecution of the diddlers by the U.S. Attorney's Office, Agnafilo said, describing his client as a music icon and a loving family man. The Mansons were a loving family, too. He is an imperfect person, but he's not a criminal, Agnafilo said in a statement, adding, please reserve your judgment until you have all the facts. These are the acts of an innocent man with nothing to hide, and he looks forward to clearing his name in court. The criminal charges are a major but not unexpected takedown of one of the most prominent producers and most famous names in the history of hip-hop. The federal investigation of Combs, 58, I didn't know he's 58, I thought he was younger than that, was revealed when Homeland Security Investigations agents served simultaneous search warrants and raided Combs' mansions in L.A. and Miami on March 25th. A day after the raids, his attorney Aaron Dyer called them a gross use of military-level force, said the allegations were meritless. Yeah, welcome to the party, pal. Cops are shit. Now you know. Combs, then known as Puff Daddy, was at the center of the East Coast, West Coast hip-hop battles of the 90s as the partner and producer of the notorious B.I.G., who was shot and killed in 97. But like many of those who survived the era, his public image has softened with age into a genteel host of parties in Hollywood and the Hamptons, a fashion-forward businessman and a doting father who spoiled his kids, some of whom lost their mother in 2018. But a different image began emerging in November when his former protege and girlfriend, the R&B singer Cassie, became the first of several people to sue him for sexual abuse, with stories of a steady stream of sex workers in drug-fueled settings where some of those involved were coerced or cajoled into sex. In her November lawsuit, Cassie alleged years of abuse, including beatings and rape. Her suit also alleged Combs engaged in sex trafficking by requiring her to engage in forced sexual acts in multiple jurisdictions and by engaging in harboring and transportation of plaintiff for purposes of sex induced by force, fraud, or coercion. It also said he compelled her to help him traffic male sex workers Combs would force Cassie to have sex with while he filmed. The suit was settled the following day, but its reverberations would last far longer. Combs lost lingering allies, supporters, and those reserving judgment when CNN in May aired a leaked video of him punching Cassie, kicking her, and throwing her on the floor in a hotel hallway. The next day, in his first real acknowledgement of wrongdoing since the stream of allegations began, Combs posted a social media video apologizing, saying, I was disgusted when I did it, and I'm disgusted now. He's disgusted he got caught. That's what it was. Cassie's lawsuit was followed by at least half a dozen others in the ensuing months. In February, a music producer filed a lawsuit alleging Combs coerced him to solicit prostitutes and pressured him to have sex with them. Another Combs accusers was a woman who said the rap producer raped her 2 decades ago when she was 17. Another woman who filed a lawsuit, April Lampros, said she was a college student in 94 when she met Combs, and a series of terrifying sexual encounters with Combs and those around him began that lasted for years. Combs and his attorneys denied nearly all of the lawsuit's allegations, while authorities did not publicly say that the lawsuits were set off. The lawsuit set off the criminal investigation. Dyer said when the warrants were served that the case was based on meritless accusations made in civil lawsuits. The AP does not typically name people who say they have been sexually abused unless they come forward publicly, as Cassie and Lampros did. And then it goes on to talk about people he worked with and the business, including Private Label Spirits, a media company, and the Sean John. I remember the Sean John fashion line. I never had any Sean John because I wasn't cool enough. But, you know, here we are. Hey, what's up, Steve? Good to see you, man. Yeah, so Combs has faced various arrests before, and decades ago he was at the center of one of the biggest hip-hop industry trials of its era. That trial stemmed from a Manhattan nightclub shooting that injured 3 people in '99. His then-girlfriend, singer and actor Jennifer Lopez, was also there when the shots rang out. Combs ultimately was acquitted of charges that he took an illegal gun into the club and tried to bribe his driver to take the fall for the weapon. His then protege, Shine, was convicted of assault and other charges in the shooting and served about 8 years in prison. Now going by Moses Barrow, he's a member of the House of Representatives in his native Belize. Belize it or not. There you go. Yeah, so a lot of crazy shit there. I'm amazed that she only got 20 years for that. And is in a minimum security prison. She should be in a supermax with like all these tough broads from like, you remember the 70s women's prison movies? Yeah, she needs to be in there with those people. Well, you know, the Germans recently have said they're not going to send long-range missiles to Ukraine. So I think they're starting to see things happening, you know, for real. I don't know. But now their media wants access to Israel for the war there. And of course, Israel said, well, how do you say it in German? Nein!
The sharing of biased and
False news has become all too common on social media.
More alarming, some media publish these things as are true without checking facts first.
Unfortunately, some members of media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think. And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
Believe it or not, I'm walking on air right now. Sorry. I had to do the believe it or not. Or if you're Jack Palance, you're like, I believe it or not. German news media demand access to war-torn Gaza. This is from Arab News. German news media outlets on Tuesday called on Israel to grant them access to war-torn Gaza, charging that the almost complete exclusion of international media is unprecedented in recent history. Well, if they kick you out, if they keep you out, they either keep you out or if they let you in, they kill you. So we have like 170 journalists so far have been killed since October 7th. After almost a year of war, we call on the Israeli government, allow us to enter the Gaza Strip, a group of newspapers, agencies, and broadcasters wrote in an open letter. They also urged Egypt to permit them entry to the widely devastated Palestinian territory via the Rafah border crossing in the south of the Gaza Strip. Israel has been at war with Hamas since October 7th, attacks launched by the Palestinian militant group in a conflict that has brought mass casualties and destroyed swaths of the coastal strip. The media organizations wrote that anyone who makes independent reporting on this war impossible is damaging their own credibility. They don't give a fuck, man. They got Big Daddy US backing them up, and they can do whatever the fuck they want. Anyone who prohibits us from working in the Gaza Strip is creating the conditions for human rights to be violated. You don't say. The open letter was addressed to Israeli Prime Minister and fuckhead, motherfucker, piece of shit, probably going to hell, definitely going to hell, Benjamin Netanyahu, and Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, and had been delivered on Monday, they said. Signatories included editors and reporters from Der Spiegel, Die Welt, public broadcasters ARD and ZDF, and the German Journalists Association. They said they have decades of experience in conflict reporting and wrote, "We know the risk. We're prepared to take it. Grant us access to the Gaza Strip. Let us work in the interest of everyone." Yeah, so Germany, I don't know, it's weird, right? At first they said 9 to the long-range missiles, and now they're trying to actually do some journalism for reals in Gaza. But of course, they're not gonna let real journalists in there, and if they do, that's gonna be all she wrote. Wait, you're not doing that. Do your thing. So we reported the other day about the Jewish Chronicle and their bullshit. Well, they got four of their columnists said, "Peace out, we're leaving." 4 columnists quit Jewish Chronicle over Gaza coverage based on wild fabrications. 4 prominent columnists have resigned from JC after it published stories about Israel and its war on Gaza that were allegedly wild fabrications. The JC, which is the oldest Jewish newspaper in the UK, published several articles by a reporter named Elon Perry, as we reported the other day, that it's now removed. They are alleged to contain fabricated quotes from Israeli officials. One of the articles claimed the discovery of a document from Gaza that would turn out to be bullshit. But because Israel's army said they had no knowledge of the document. Jonathan Friedland, a senior columnist for The Guardian, said on Sunday that he was quitting the JC, which he has contributed to for 26 years. The latest scandal brings great disgrace on the paper, publishing fabricated stories and showing only the thinnest form of contrition, but it is only the latest, he said in a letter to editor Jake Wallace-Simmons posted on the tweeters. Too often the JC reads like a partisan ideological instrument, its judgments political rather than journalistic. Kind of like MSNBC, Fox News, that kind of shit over here. Journalist David Aronovich reposted Friedland's letter and said, "I have done the same." Comedian and writer David Badiel, meanwhile, has followed suit, with his spokesperson confirming on Sunday that he has no plans to write any more columns for the paper, but there's no further comment at this stage. Anne Hadley Freeman, who writes for the Sunday Times, has left the paper too. She told BBC Radio 4 on Monday morning that she and the other columnists who resigned felt there had not been editorial standards applied to Elon Perry because this journalist adhered to an ideology that perhaps was similar to that of the editorial board. She added, "Jews represent a tiny, tiny percentage of the British population, less than 1%, and we want to have a liberal, modern voice that represents British Jewish feelings." What it felt like increasingly was that the JC was representing a more ideological rather than strictly journalistic point of view, and was becoming far more right-wing and far more in step with Netanyahu, which most British Jews are not. That's not why I joined a British Jewish newspaper to represent the views of Netanyahu. I want to represent the views of British Jews. Very good. Good for you. Perry, who wrote the now deleted articles for the JC as a freelancer, told the Sunday Times that the criticisms were motivated by jealousy. Asked why there was little evidence of his past writing, he replied, "My articles are in Hebrew, darling." What a piece of shit. On Sunday, JC editor Jake Wallace-Simmons said on Twitter that it was every newspaper editor's worst nightmare to be deceived by a journalist. He said the newspaper has cut all ties with the freelancer in question, and his work has now been removed from our website. So nice to see some integrity there, where people are just like, you know what, I'm a real journalist. Let's can we do actual journalism? Man, we are running long. Sorry about that, folks. But we're almost done here. And finally, in Mali, they suspended TV5 Monde for 3 months after biased report. So the propaganda and lying and all this stuff, it's not just here. It's not just in the West. Mali's military government has suspended the French language channel TV5 Monde for 3 months, citing a lack of balance in its reporting, according to a statement from the media regulator on Wednesday. That would be today. The High Authority for Communication hack criticized the channel for its coverage of drone strikes in Tinza, where there at least 15 civilians were killed, according to TV5 Mon, of not including the Malian army's account of the events. The report in question aired on October 25th as part of the channel's Africa program, which is popular in Mali. TV5 Mon regrets the situation, and in particular the fact that it was not approached by the hack and was unable to provide any explanations regarding the facts of which it is accused, it said in a statement. And there it is, all in French. TV5 Mon responded by stating that the Malian army had not provided its version of events at the time the report on the drone strikes was broadcast. The channel added it had made direct requests to the Malian army for comment, but had not received a response before airing the report. So yes, fuckery everywhere in the world. So always keep an eye out wherever you are in this planet. Fingerman, what's going on, man? Good to see you. You've been lurking. You little lurker, you. Lurking. I love me some moon news. We're gonna end this with some fun stuff that's probably gonna scare the shit out of the United States. We talked about I believe it's China who just sent back samples from the far side of the moon. Well, they're competitors with India and Russia as far as getting to the moon and seeing what's up there. Well, it looks like they're going to join forces. India considers joining Russia and China to build a nuclear plant on the moon. So, rivals, this is from RFI, the French newspaper. Rivals India and China are said to be keen on joining a Russian project to build an atomic power plant for a human base on the moon. Russia's Atomic Energy Corporation, Rosatom, said the lunar reactor will be built with minimal human involvement and deployed around 2036. Interesting. That's supposed to be the second approach of Apophis. I wonder if there's any correlation. According to Russia's state-owned news agency TASS, Rosatom CEO Alexei Likachev told a meeting of the Eastern Economic Forum in Vladivostok earlier this month that both India and China have shown interest in the venture. They're both part of the BRICS. I think they're all BRICS people. The task we're working on is the creation of a lunar nuclear power plant with an energy capacity of up to 0.5 megawatt, Likachev said, told the gathering of potential investors. Both our Chinese and Indian partners are very interested in collaborating as we lay the groundwork for several international space projects, the Rosatom chief executive claimed. Delhi has not commented on the purported collaboration. While Russia is its key arms supplier and a partner on several space ventures, Indian media have been surprised by the possibility of India teaming up with China, alluding to unresolved border disputes which took India and China to war in 1962 and sporadic clashes in the following years. Local daily Business Standard called the two countries foes on Earth, pals on the moon. The proposed power plant will be integrated into a wider Chinese-Russian project to set up a base called the International Lunar Research Station, either on lunar soil or in lunar orbit. ILRS will serve as a fulcrum of scientific research and will be open to all countries and international partners after it becomes operational between 2035 and 2045. That's assuming that Earth still has people that haven't been killed in a nuclear war by then. But it would require a stable power supply, which only a nuclear reactor can provide, as the moon's lengthy lunar nights make solar energy unreliable. NASA has been mulling the construction of similar reactors for its own future lunar bases, but of course, they're not going to do that. I'd like to see a base on the moon. I think that would be awesome, right? I watched this show, For All Mankind. I think it's on Apple Plus, and it's basically an alternate history show where the Russians actually landed on the moon first. And in doing so, this caused the United States to ramp up space work even more. In the show, we have like real cell phones and like these two-way kind of like Zoom, like in the early 90s. I think we're in the late 80s. I think they have that, and then in the early 90s, they end up going to they end up going to Mars. It's a really good show if you're into alternate history like that, and they try to keep it as technically accurate as possible. Bella says humans are not allowed to be beyond low Earth orbit. That's true. I don't think we ever get past the Van Halen belt. You know, where all that rock and roll radiation is. It's rock and roll there. Might as well jump. We ain't getting past the belt. Do, 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 do. Anyway, I've chewed your ear long enough. I wanted to remind you that tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, do the math for the middles, we're going to have our buddy Ricky Rants on tonight. I haven't heard from him in a minute, so we're going to talk to him, see what he's been up to, hang out, maybe talk shit about people. You know the drill. Ricky always has some good takes, and it's been a while since we talked to him, so it'll be good to see him and talk to him. That's going to be 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Mountain, and 4 p.m. Pacific, or specific if you don't know how to say Pacific. Other than that, that's going on tonight, and then we'll be back on Friday for more funsies, more news funsies for you and your family to enjoy if you're into that sort of thing. Thank you to everybody. Love each and every one of you. I hope you have a great day. Stay frosty. Stay out of the cults. Use your critical thinking skills, and think for yourself, because I'm just here to provide information. I ain't here to tell you how to think. Yeah, I'm going to give my opinions on some of this stuff, because some of this stuff is very kind of emotional stuff, especially when you're talking about like blowing up kids and stuff like that. We can't let this stuff happen. But at the same time, we can't be doing stupid shit like trying to vote ourselves out of this stuff. It's just not going to happen that way. So find a friend, find a striker, and see if we can get that match lit. So anyway, peace out. Home slice. Smell you later. And tell your mom I said hi, and I'll see her later too.
This is City Alpha 5! Woo! Damn good song, wasn't it, dog? You like that song? All right.